Hello, assalamu alaikum class. I hope you all are fine. And before starting this lecture, I presume that you all have gone through the last lectures. Basically, it will help you to understand the coming lecture and today's lecture easily. Okay, we will start the lecture from the topic control flow statement. Basically, control flow statement are the block of programming that analyzes your variables, and it help you to choose a direction in which to go on a given parameters. Okay, there are lots of or there are some kind of conditional statements in control flow statement, which are like you have if, else, else if, switch. Okay, these are called conditional statements. And the second control flow statement are loops. Okay, and we know there are three types of loop: for, while, do while. All these topics or the statement will be explained further. Okay, we will start from the if statement. Basically, if statement evaluates the test expressions inside a parenthesis, like these parentheses, these round parentheses you are watching, these are called the round brackets in our keyboards are called basically parentheses in programming. Okay, the test expression will be given in this parenthesis of if statement. And if the expression means the statement inside this parenthesis is evaluated or tested to true. If the statement is true, then the body of if, these two curly braces we will call the body. Okay, between what we write in between these two curly braces is called the body of if. Okay, if the test expression means if this statement is true inside the body of if are executed, means if this statement is true, then whatever we write inside these two brackets will be executed by your compiler. For instance, we have a variable called integer with whose name is test, and the value of that variable test is 5. Okay, and we know this line is called initialization, or we are initializing a simple variable which is test, and the value of that variable is 5. Okay, again we are testing that variable in our if statement. If we are saying if this test variable contains a value which is less than 10, then execute the code inside the body of if. Okay, and if the value of test is greater than 10, then the statements which are inside the body of if will not execute it. Okay, the body part of the if is only executed when this expression is true. If this statement is false or this expression is false, the body of if is not executed. Okay, hope you are getting my point. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, the else part. Okay, now we have else statement or else keyword of conditional statements. We have a short demo of if, like what will be the answer of this two lines of code. Okay, if the age is greater than 18, here you have to consider that you have a variable, like int age, whose value is like 13. Okay, now what will be the answer of this two lines or three line of code? The compiler will read it like, if 13 is, because instead of age, compiler will reading it as 13. Okay, now 13, if 13 is greater than 18, and we know 13 is not greater than 18, then if the statement is, so basically your statement is false. 13 is not greater than 18. If your statement is false, then yes will not be printed on your screen. Then what is another solution for showing something on screen if our answer or expression is not true according to the if statement? So the conditional statement will give you another statement with your else, so that if your this statement or if statement is false, you can understand your statement or program better. For this you have to use else statement, like else if our first condition is wrong, then always print something else, by which we can understand our program better. In conclusion, we can say, if the condition of the if statement returns true, then the statement inside the body of if are executed and the statements inside the body of else are skipped. If condition returns false, then the statements inside the body of if are skipped and the statements in else are executed. Okay, this would you say like, these are the statement, these are your expression. If it is true, then this is printed. If it is false, then your else is printed. If is true, then the body of if is printed. If this statement is false, then the body of else is printed on your screen. Now go to the next slide, which is the else if statement. I think this is the same. Okay, else if keyword is used for multiple options or conditions. Like the last one slide, we have just two conditions. Like if a voter is if the age of the voter is greater than 18 or equal to 18, he or she is eligible for voting. Or if he or she's age is less than 18, then he or she is not eligible for voting. Okay, now what if we have something else or a condition where we have to use multiple options? So we use else and if. Okay, I'm going to remove all these so you can understand the things better. I'm going to write a condition or a little program which will help you to understand the else if condition better. Means you can take the example of your examination result. Okay, like if I have a okay, like I am writing a variable integer percentage, which is 80%. Okay, assume a student whose percentage is 80. Okay, now we write if the above percentage of the student is greater than and equal to 80, Then I'm not using the proper syntax now, like I'm not giving the brackets, I'm directly writing, because you can write it too, your compiler will accept this kind of syntax also. Okay, now if the percentage of the student is greater than equal to 80, then the grade will be A plus. Okay, if we dry run this program or these lines of code, the compiler will, or your answer will be the A plus. For example, like compiler will read this line that you have a variable whose name is per, and the value of this variable is 80, and you have written this line, then compiler will read this line as percentage, which is equal to 80. If 80 is greater than equal to 80, then return A plus. According to above two statement, this or this, according to above this variable, you can say that this expression of if is true. If this is true, then it will definitely print your statement, which is the body of your if. Okay. What if the student's percentage is 70? Then what? Or he or she is fail, means 30%. We are assuming if a student gain 30%, we assume he or she is failed. Okay, now the program will, if else, if the student percentage is not above 80 or equal to 80, consider that student is failed. Okay, these are the two conditions. What if we have a third condition, like if a student is getting 70 marks or 70 percentage, then the compiler will come to your this line and it will read like, if percentage is greater than equal to 80, if compiler is reading it, it will read like 7. If 70 is greater than equal to 80, no, 70 is not greater than equal to 80, then it will automatically skip this line and go to your else and directly print the fail. Okay, this is according to your this program. And we all know that in our real life, the student who is gaining 70% is not fail. So what is the next option? For this, C programming has else if conditions, like else if percentage is greater than equal to 70. Okay, if student has 70 percentage, declare that student as A. Again, you can use multiple else if statement, doesn't matter how much. If percentage is greater than equal to 60%, as we know, student can possibly take 60%, print. Please ignore the syntaxes, like I am skipping the semicolons or double quotations. Okay, if a student is gaining 60%, then B. You can try all these by yourself, like if student is taking 60%, 50%, 40%. Okay, I hope you are understanding. Nesting if or nested if statement is a statement which is declared inside another closing if statement. Or on other hand, you can say that if statement inside another if statement. Or okay, yes, if statement inside a if statement is called nested if. You can take the example of your CGPA, or yes, you can take the example of your CGPA, or your grade in your enter. We can use the nested if statement in different criteria, like you are going to appear in a test of like uh, for example, we can say that you are giving your admission test of of your university. It would be a good example. We will discuss it. Okay, now you are going to appear in an examination or an entry test of any university. There are two criterias. Okay, if you want to get admission in university, you have to clear two criterias. One is that your percentage, means they'll check if the percentage of the student is, means their criteria is 70 or 80%. If the percentage of the student is 80, then check the test. Okay, and the test of the student is also 50 or 60%, then give the admission to that student only. Okay, this kind of, in this kind of situation you can use nested if. We will write the code and you can understand it better. Okay, if 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 your last exams percentage is greater than equal to 80, then check the students, then the curly braces of if, then again check if the student passed the entry test. Please consider to do these two as a variable. This one, percentage, is a variable, consider this, and this entry test is also a variable. If the entry test of the student, entry test means the marks of entry test. Okay, the marks of entry test of a student is greater than 50 or 40. It will depend on the criteria what universities are using. Okay, if the entry test marks of the student is greater than or greater than 50, then give him admission to your university. Like we will do it, the parenthesis of nested if, print f, like welcome to यूनिवर्सिटी और कॉन्ग्रेचुलेशन, आप कुछ भी लिखना चाहें लिख सकते हैं. You can write anything you want. This is a nested if, or you a child if आप कह सकते हैं. You can say that. And this is your parent. And you can use the else statement with this also. In this kind of situation you can use nested if. I think this is clear now. Okay, switch statement, which is also a conditional statement or alternative to conditional statement. Alternative to conditional statement means alternative to if you don't want to use the if or any condition that happen not to solve with if statement, you can use switch statements. Okay, Basically, switch statements are the substitute for long if else statements. For example, you know that there are 40 statements and you are using if else, the compiler will take more time to execute it. Okay. Alternatively, or in substitution of that 40 times of if and else, you can use a switch statement which is uh, comparably to the if, which is smaller. Okay. It uh, it's switch statement basically compare a variable to several values. One variable is uh, compared to the several values or multiple values that can be expressed as an integer or char. The value of the variable given into the switch is always is used to compare to the value following each of the cases. Means uh, switch statement basically compare a variable to the cases which are given in the switch statement. Basically, switch statement allows us to execute one code block among many substitutes or alternatives. You can do the same thing. Okay, you can also do the same thing with the if else statement. Moreover, the syntax of switch is easy to read and write instead of if. Means technically you can see both if and else statement are same. One more important difference between if else and switch is if is more flexible than switch. You can say that for example, in if statement you can use multiple operations like if you want to use relational operator, you can use relational operators or logical operators. You can use all these kinds of operators in if else very easily. But in the case of switch, you are just bounded to use assignment operator. Okay, now let's start with this example. We have a variable which is a character, name is grade. The value of that character or the grade is b. We are using it in switch. Okay, this is the syntax of switch. We have to write switch, and inside the parenthesis of the switch we have to pass the name of the variable. Okay, there are the cases like we have else if condition in if statement. uh, Beside that, we have in switch we have cases. Okay, the syntax is like we have a case, then the print statement and the break statement. Okay, we have given our else if like maybe the answer is A, maybe what if the variable is containing a B, or if variable doesn't have A, B or these options, then directly go to the default option. Now how it check your condition, like we have passes the B or the grade here, it will check B and grade. Okay, grade and your case, like sorry, these things, it will be checking or comparing these two things. Always it will compare this grade with the cases. Means grade is equal to A, or grade is equal to B. Switch if grade, what is in the grade? B is in the grade. Can we say that B is equal to A? No, B is not equal to A. Then this case is not true. It will break it and go to the next case, which is B. Then it will again compare the case like grade is equal to B. Yes, because in grade variable it contains B. Then this B is equal to B. Okay, if these are equal, then it will go to the body of your true case. Okay, this is the true case. It go to the body of your true case statement, and which is well done, the compiler will be printing on your screen a well done. Okay. What if I will write a C here? Firstly, your compiler will read and pass the C here, and then start comparing a case with the C. A is equal to grade, or A is equal to C. No, it will break. Sorry, no, it will come to the next statement. B is equal to grade. No, grade is C, and here is B. B is not equal to C. Then it will come to the default. Then again it will check. Sorry, and the default at the default statement, it will never check any condition. It will directly print invalid grade. Means the grade you have given is not matching with your existing grades, like A and B. C is something else. C is not A, C is not B. Okay, now repetition control structure. Sorry, repetition control structure, uh, which are which we can also say that loops in programming. There are three types of loops in C, which are for, while, or do while. For, while, and do while. Okay. What are loops? A statement or something which repeats. Okay. Group of instruction that executes repeatedly while some condition remains true. Means execute our statement until unless the condition becomes false. Okay, means if someone told you to print your name 1,000 times, or 1 lakh time, or 1 million time, what will you do? You will start writing 1,000 lines of code for just writing your name or printing your name 1,000 times? No, we will just make a loop, any kind of loop, for, while, do while. We just make a loop and put the single statement of our name in that loop, and we determine that you have to print this name 1,000 times. It will print it easily. With just 2 lines of code, you can print your line thousands of times. A task which need to be executed repeatedly, we use loop for them. Counter control repetition, here it will, you can take the meaning of that when you want to stop your loop. Means I want to write 10 times my name, then obviously I will stop the repetition at 10th round. Okay, if you want to stop 20, means you want to print your name 20 times, then obviously you will stop it after 20 repetitions. This is called the counter control repetition. Okay, these counter control repetitions require some rules, or uh, it works differently in different loops. Okay, means if you are using the for loop, the rule will be, the counter control repetition rule will be changed. Okay, like the name of control variable. What do you want to use? I, j, k. You have to name a variable. The initial value means from which you want to start your loop. A condition that test means you want to print it 10 times. The condition will be the 10 times. If you want to print it 20 times, the condition will be 20 times. Okay. The last one, an increment. Yes. It will help your loop to continue. If your initial value is starting from the 1 and the loop control value you have given is 10, means where your loop should stop is 10, and it will help, the increment will help your loop to continue, means 1 plus plus 2 plus plus until unless it will become 10 to stop your loop. Okay, starting with the for loop, just the same example of condition repetition statement. You can take the last definition, like a loop statement allows us to execute a statement or a group of statement in multiple times, okay, or in repetition, or how much times you want to repeat your statement. For loop always execute a sequence of statement multiple times. Okay, this is the syntax of for loop. It has three parts, which we have discussed the before two slides from this. Okay, this part, three parts are: one is the initialization value, this is the condition, and this is the increment. Okay, and you have to choose a variable name, and a is a variable here. We have initializes the a, which would be equal to 0, or it is like upright. I think this statement is true for Java, not for C. Okay, now it's right. Okay, a is equals to 1. This is the initialization part, means we want to start our loop from 1, and the condition is a is less than 10. A means 1 is should be, it will read by your compiler like 1 is less than 10, the condition is true. If the condition is true, then it will go to your body of 4. Yes, the condition is true, this loop will run forever, it will print it. When the condition is true, it will again come to your increment statement and increase your initial value, which was 1. This statement will execute it, and it will return or increase the value of a, which will become 2. Again, after it will increase the value of a, then again this condition will be checked, where a is now 2, 2 is less than 10, yes, it's true. And again this statement is printed. After the print of this statement, a plus plus, a is again increased, which will become 3. After increasing, this statement is again checked, 3 is less than 10, until unless it will reach to the statement 10. This process goes on until the test expression is false. And when it will become false, when the incrementation of a will be 10, means after incrementing so many times it will become itself 10, then again the condition will be checked like this. If 10 is less than 10, no, it's false, then your statement or the compiler will break the loop body and comes out of the body of the loop. Okay, the next statement is while loop. It is also the same, just the syntax of the loop is changed from for loop. Okay. The initialization is outside a body, means you have to initialize like a normal variable, where here we have initializes our variable equal to 0, and we are saying the same thing again. A is less than 10 means until unless the a is greater than 10, means if a is 10, then it will break the loop and comes out of your loop. Okay, let's start. A is equals to 0. Condition check, 0 is less than 10. It will print your hello world first time, and then again increase your value, which will become 1. Again 1 is less than 10. Yes, true. It will print hello world, and again increase your value from 2 to 3. Sorry, from 1 to 2. 1 is less than 10. Yes, it will print it. Again it will become 3. 3 is less than 10. On and on. It will again run the same process again and again until the value of a become 10. If it become 10, 10 is less than 10, the condition will become false and it will come out from the body of the loop. Same statement of do while. Just now the difference come in your loop, like your for loop and the while loop, both are the same. The working of, you can say the working of both loops are same, but the do while loop is somehow different from these two loops, means for and while loop. It is more like a while statement, except that it tests the condition at the end of the loop. Okay, what does it mean it tests the condition at the end of the loop? This statement that it check the condition or test the condition at the end of the loop make it different from the both loops. Okay, means even the condition is false, it will run one time. Means if you are taking the example of the last two loops, while loop and for while loop, they will break the body if they find the statement is false. Okay, but in do while loop it will run the statement even if it is false for the first time, not for the second time, only for the first time it will run your body even if the statement is false. For example, I will write it like 10. Now our value of a is 10, and what we say do before checking the condition, we are saying do it. Okay, it will obviously do it. It will go to your body of the loop and print hello world and increase the value. The value will be increased again, it will become 11. Okay, now it will be checking like a is less than 10. It means 11 is less than 10. No, 11 is greater than 10, so makes the statement false. Even if the statement was false, the condition of was false, the print was printed, the printf statement was printed. So this is the main difference between do while loop and the other two loops. Hope so you understand all these topics. Okay, let's repeat the things. So we'll conclude the today class. Okay, we started from control flow statement. Okay, control flow statement basically analyzes the variable or help us to choose the best decision. You can say that there are two types of conditional statement. One is there are two types of control flow statement. One is conditional statement and the second are loops. The conditional statement contains if, else, switch, and the loop statement contains for, while, and do while. Okay, that statement basically help you to take decisions in your programming. Like if this is that, what we have to do? We say if the condition is true, do this. If the condition is not true, then go to the else statement. What if we have multiple choices or multiple options? So C allows you to use else if, which you can use in multiple choices when you have to face multiple choices like your grades. Okay, then again if you have a condition of, so if you are using so many if else statement, and you know that you just want to do the comparison operator, or comparison operation between all these statements, it's better to use switch. Okay, switch is also a comparison or a decision taking statement help which will help you to decide something. But the main difference between the if and the switch is, if you can use many operations like relational operations, like uh, or any kind of other operations with else statement, but you cannot use uh, any other operation unless it is a comparison operator or equal to operator, you can say that. And the loop, we know why we have to use loop, and what is the need of using loop. For example, you have so many statements and you want to print these statement thousand times, the same statement you want to print or use or execute thousand times. You don't need to write it again and again and again. You just make a block of for loop, while loop, or do while loop, and make it, and write all these statements inside these block. It will help you to repeat your statements again and again. Just you have to give them a condition that how many times you want to print it or use it or execute it. Okay, there are three types of loop, as we know that: for, while loop, and do while loop. For loop, the difference between while and for loop, we can say that there's only a syntax difference between these two loops. And the third loop, do while loop, is different from above both two loops, for and while. Do while can print your statement even if your statement or condition is false, but above two loop, for loop and while loop, will never print your statement if your condition is false. Hope you understand all these things. Okay, have a good day. Allah Hafiz.